Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting this Monday morning. The Nation newspaper, always the first. Ekiti poll, how Oyebanji won. Victorious governor visits PDP rival. President urges winner to be humble. And the Leadership newspaper, reactions as Oyebanji becomes first Ekiti governor to win second consecutive term. And this Nigeria is next. Ekiti Guba. Oyebanji breaks re-election jinx. Olaka Nwogu sweeps Rivers senatorial by-election. And the Nigerian News Direct is next. INEC declares Oyebanji winner of Ekiti Guba. Governor emerges as Ekiti's first consecutive two-term governor. Tinubu congratulates Oyebanji, urges opposition to work with him. And the Observer Times is next. Historic landslide. Oyebanji smashes Ekiti's second-term jinx as APC dominates polls. Secure a record-breaking 319,224 votes to bury PDP and ADC across all 16 local government areas. APC celebrating clean sweep as by-election results drop. And the Hope newspaper, APC dominates by-elections, wins 5 of 6 seats. PDP retains Rivers senatorial seat. And the Abuja Inquirer is next. FCT, new council chairman, face labor disputes, infrastructure woes, residents demand visible results. And the Platform Times, Igboho ultimatum sparks confusion as police deny victims freedom. Say abduction occurred in Igbokwe, not Igboho. Ransom reportedly slashed from 300 million naira to 150 million naira. Either is actually absurd. And the Punch newspaper is next. Retirement bombshell, 5 DCGs to lead 1,516 officers out of customs. Customs faces generational shift as 17 ACGs, 25 controllers, top brass prepare for exit. Pre-retirement leave begins as agency sets July the 31st deadline for exit-related complaints. And the Guardian newspaper, from airports to airlines, governors sink over 500 billion naira in new carriers and fleet. And last but not least, talk about Battle of Britain, Fury versus Joshua. Joshua versus Fury, location still to be decided. And the main headline saying Galatasaray ready to make Osimhen captain to keep him away from Man United and Arsenal. And I think there is another one that's quite interesting here. I'll talk about stuttering Belgium draw 0-0 with Iran. Nathan Ngoy sent off. All right, then let's get down to the brass tack.
Get to the conversation.
Yes, by doing this with, two of my colleagues, Nelson and
2 of your favorite colleagues.
Absolutely. You love adjectives a lot. Okay, then let's see. The Nation newspaper, Leadership newspaper, this Nigerian News Direct, and Observer Times,
all about Ekiti.
All talking about Ekiti, and it's even the Hope newspaper talking about Ekiti, the fallout of Ekiti election. For the first time in history, it has never happened before where you see a governor being re-elected consecutively. It's either you are elected and someone dislodges you or dislodged you, and then you come back again much later when people realize that, probably they made a mistake or anything. Right, but this time round, he scored 319,224 votes. Before now, we've been saying that it's just more like a one-horse race.
Well, Ibrahim, when I looked at, because we were here to cover the election,
the election.
As well. It was quite peaceful on a general look of it.
That's right.
But let's speak first of all to the person of Governor Oyebanji. I mean, the Oshokomole of Ekiti was here, has been here, former Governor Fayose, I like that man. He was here and he talked about the capacity of Governor Oyebanji to rally all former governors, irrespective of party lines. And he's carried himself as the kind of man who is a servant leader. So it doesn't matter what party you belong to who you were or who you are and where you stood, as long as Ekiti is at the center of all of us, then let's come together and see how we can move our state forward. I mean, he said that the governor sometimes calls him to ask him, so it doesn't matter. He's not looking at him as a PDP former governor. Yeah. He's looking at him as a former governor of Ekiti State and a statesman.
Matter of fact, it goes beyond Fayose because he was able to rally all the past governors.
Exactly. And so, number one, that gives him a good green card as a person. Yeah. Now, come his leadership as the governor of the state generally, from the feeders we've been hearing from people on ground, he has maintained some level of development, the momentum of development in the state thus far.
That's right.
And so, even though Ekiti State, for me, is still far away from the level of civilization I would love to see environmentally, based on the number of educated minds that comes from Ekiti State, they are still far away from it. But thus far, I think Oyebanji is going.
And if you look at Nigerian News Direct, it's saying INEC declares Oyebanji winner of Ekiti Guba, and Tinubu congratulates Oyebanji, urging opposition to work with him. So opposition, if you look at PDP has got about over 40,000 votes. ADC came, third,
with
about 12,000 votes, and ADC
I would say that's impressive.
Right, impressive. Well,
based on the mathematics of the area.
ADC is kicking that, there was this incumbency advantage and performance vetting. There was this divided opposition front, but he's saying that there were vote buying, on and on, and voter apathy, which also happened.
But for me, I just want to touch on a couple of things. When we talk about Biodun right about now, he has changed and redefined the way we used to see, Ekiti politics and Ekiti elections. Just knowing that since 1999, Ekiti, the people of Ekiti, they've been very, very vocal in changing hands from the PDP to the APC. When they do not like a particular person, they actually go out in the ballot and, vote the person out. So to see this is quite historical that, he has won on this particular one. But I want to speak about so many things that happened during election. First of all, I want to speak about the fact that it was a peaceful election. I'm happy that we had a peaceful election, because we're saying that this is also a litmus test to see what will happen come 2027 when we have our general elections. But one thing that bothers me actually is the voter turnout as well, because we know that over 1 million people had, registered to vote, but we did those numbers compared to the people that voted are quite, they do not really tally. So that really, bothers me.
No, I guess what happened, sorry to butt in, I guess what happened was because of the voter apathy was not because they are afraid. It's because they felt it was going to be a walkover. So some of them felt we're not just going to come out.
And that's the thing. That is not what we should be doing in Nigeria. It's your right to go out to vote. You are supposed to. It's your duty, actually. So for me, I worry, about that. But for Oyebanji as well, I feel like there's a lot more that can be done in Ekiti. And I pray that, this is second term, we see a lot of performance from him. We cannot deny the fact that, he's pulled through in some sectors of Ekiti, but we actually want to see more. And I know that he should be able to pull through with that.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Hope newspaper. Still talking about, the by-election, major election, gubernatorial election, and that of the by-elections, where APC wins 5 of 6 seats. PDP retains Rivers Senatorial District. So beyond Ekiti, there was this Enugu North Senatorial District, won by Asogwa KJ Israel, that's of APC, with a staggering 162,000 plus votes. Nasarawa North Senatorial District, APC clinching 45,362 votes. The same thing for Ondo, Dayofade Yule, and Dawakin Gudu Wara Federal Constituency, Zuru State. But River State, PDP, maintains, their lead, won by Olaka Umogu. But the president said one thing when he sent a statement, released a statement to Oyebanji, congratulating him. I don't know why the word kidnapping is coming to my head.
God forbid.
Congratulating him. He said that the opposition, that he should work with the opposition, and invariably it means that the opposition should also join hands, because at the end of the day, it's all about development of our constituencies.
Somebody will always win in a contest. It just that everybody wants it to be me to win. If it was 3 of us in the contest, I'd want to be the one to win. But I think that one person will have to win. Now, if the person then wins, what do the rest of us do to help? Because if the goal is our state, and frankly speaking, if we take the names from the big states, the Lagos, the Port Harcourts, and so on and forth, a lot of states in Nigeria needs to really sit up, and especially not under this government where IGR has been increased, or rather, the RAMFAC has increased, revenue sharing to states ×2, ×3, depending. A lot needs to be done, Ibrahim. We can't have states still lagging behind in development. It's
Exactly. With even knowing the budget that states now take now, so that is even quite worrisome. But Nelson, even in a race, somebody will come first, somebody will come second, somebody will actually come last. So the important thing is that,
to leave the track.
but the most important thing is to make sure that we all come together.
Absolutely.
Because it's for the betterment of Nigeria, not your pocket.
Right. Let's move on to the platform times. Igboho ultimatum sparks confusion as police deny victims freedom. Say abduction occurred in Igbokwe, not Igboho. Ransom reportedly slashed from 300 million naira to 150 million naira. So we saw the video trending of Sunday Igboho. I don't know whether you saw that, Ria. When he went to the Fulani Head and then, giving them ultimatum that they have to release their victims or their captives, within 2 hours. So there were false jubilation at the end of the day, because the police said that the victims are still in captivity, and then those who were released had nothing to do with that. And what even happened? It didn't happen in Igboho's, town. It happened somewhere else. What does this say about, the warlord kind of a thing that can help in solving this situation, and the fact that there are conflicting reports, coming out?
And the conflicting reports are very, very annoying, because these are lives that we're messing with. You cannot tell me that my sister has been released and later tell me that she has not been released. So this is a very, very important problem. And Ibrahim, when we speak about issues like this, I want to generalize and talk about, insecurity in Nigeria. I've said it oftentimes, what are the things that we need to put in place to make sure that, we eradicate insecurity? Right now, it's not about saying, oh, you said you released people, the people were not released. It doesn't do well, to the families of the people affected. We also need to think about the families as well. This is not a nice conversation that we should be having. I just hope that everybody that is in captivity will actually be released and regain freedom, because your freedom means everything to you.
Most definitely.
Actually.
Let's move on to the Punch newspaper, Nelson. Retirement bombshell, 5 DCGs to lead 1,516 officers out of customs. Pre-retirement leave begins as agency set July the 31st deadline. Over 1,500 customs retirement statutory, not CG succession plot. So this is actually happening because of the structural deficiency. I think over a decade, they refuse to recruit.
Exactly.
And that's why we're having, this large number of, 825 officers will retire in 2026, followed by 691 officers, in 2027. And that of the DCGs who are also retiring. We've seen how this has impacted, will definitely impact the knowledge gap within the custom ranks.
Customs is probably one of the agencies in our country that have not, I barely hear a lot of employment happening there. I think, Brian, one of the reasons...
And they generate a whole lot of revenue.
That's where I was going to. It's a financial largesse. So a guy, I'm holding on my chair. I'm not going nowhere.
But we need fresh minds, actually.
We do need fresh minds because of the evolution of corruption at the borders and smuggling of those guys have gone technological. So we need sharp minds who can be on their foot to do a lot of things. Some of the persons we've been there, they're old and they're used to archaic ways of doing stuff, because we've been shouting over and over again, bring technology into screening and scanning things that come through either the land, the water, and the airways. And that has not really been the full case. Remember, the guy, late President Buhari appointed as well, brought in some kind of reforms into the customs. But that has also been dropped at some way. So we need to see that kind of rejiging. So if these guys have gotten to their due dates to exit from service, please.
If you ask me, it's very well welcome. No place, no office is your father's house that you sit there for the rest of your life. At some point, you will have to leave, except if you own the company. So I believe that it's very important to have fresh minds, people that come with new ideologies. Because when we talk about the custom, we know that a lot of money is being generated there. Oftentimes,
and it's very critical to our national.
It's very critical. There have been some leaders, some corrupt. So we need to flush out all those ones. But now the young people we are bringing, let them be young people that have sense as well. Because, when we always highlight on young people, not all young people will actually bring those ideologies.
Absolutely.
So I just hope the right people
But Ibrahim, just to incur this, it doesn't mean that all these persons who are due for retirement are corrupt. That's not the point.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, I would say some. Actually, we've seen a lot of corruption happen in the customs.
So the Guardian newspaper, I think Ahmed Ali has actually done a lot in fighting corruption.
Exactly.
That's the person you're trying to remember. Appointed by Muhammad Buhari, and he did very, very well.
Oh, absolutely.
So the Guardian newspaper is saying, from airports to airlines, governors sink over 500 billion naira in new carriers and then fleet. We've seen Ogun State,
Ibom Air, Air Enugu as well. There's also Air Enugu.
Exactly.
I know all of them. I fly a lot, so
exactly. Because it's so sad that there's Anambra, there's that of Lagos and all of that, and people are saying, experts are saying, federal government even abandoned its own national carrier because they said it's not sustainable, and it's more like it's more like you're wasting money. Why is it that states are now doing it? They are, sinking money, leaving basic infrastructure development
and quickly,
aside.
Nelson, just before you come in, I've been asking myself this question. The people in your state are hungry. Roads are bad. People are, light is not there. People are thinking of how to go to work to come back. The minimum wage in your state is not doing so well, and the next thing you buy an aircraft. That is the conversation. These are the issues we're supposed to be talking about. When we talk about Nigerian Airways, we were not even able to maintain it. After some time, we ran into debt. The company is not running anymore. For me, I believe that the main focus for states should not be buying an airline. I'm sorry. And a state has done it. A lot of states are now going ahead with it. Before you know now, you see, let me not mention states, but you start seeing it now become a thing. But we cannot be, buying aircraft at the expense of people that are suffering. The most important thing you should do as a governor of the state is make sure that your people are doing well first. Because even the airlines you're bringing, how many people can pay to fly them?
Absolutely. Nelson, let's move on to
the ones who are going to fly.
Let's move on to the very last one. Anthony Joshua will be fighting Tyson Fury. The location is yet to be decided. They call it Fury versus Joshua. That's the Battle of Britain. So it's a kind of comeback for Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
and also
Fury
after
the incident
as well. So with all of these, we are seeking to see how this is going to pan out.
Well, we can only pray for Anthony Joshua. What happened to him, oh boy. I'm grateful to God that, the guy has found his way back now. And then we hope to see him come out with a green card from the pitch.
I hope so, but I don't know. I'm still very worried about Anthony Joshua. I'm still very worried about his mental health. I thought it was going to take a little moment back before he, comes to fight again.
I think it's taking quite a long time.
No, it's going to happen later this year. Yeah. So I think there's a long time. Life goes on.
Yeah, I know life goes on, but I'm just really worried about his mental health because oftentimes the people that appear to be so strong are burning inside. So, but I can only wish him the best.
Osimhen, Galatasaray is about to make
Galatasaray ready to make Osimhen captain to keep him away from Man United and Arsenal.
I saw a video of him. People showed it that was it him? Coming out from a club in Lagos, and people were the comments on that they were saying, "Oh, guy, you should have been in the football pitch, playing for Nigeria instead of coming his club, the World Cup Center."
Osimhen will always give a good comeback. He'll always do that.
It is not his fault. It's not our fault. But there's always another time. That's about it for the newspapers up for review.